Welcome to Unapologetically Sensitive, where you can learn, relate, laugh, and maybe even live a bolder, brighter life. I'm your host, Patricia Young. This is a weekly podcast where we explore the strengths we have because of our sensitivity and some of the challenges it poses as well. The information in this podcast is not a substitute for help from a licensed mental health professional. Hey there. To the creatives, healers, sensitives, and deep thinkers, how are ya? We are mid-March right now. Hopefully springtime is starting to show up now and you are seeing the fruits of spring and winter's saying goodbye. I don't know. Today's episode, if you are not wanting to hear about potential pet loss, things changing, things that are a little bit more serious or heavy, I never know what to say. You may not want to listen to this episode. So far, there has been no loss, but there will be. My son has decided to join the Navy. I'm having some feelings about that. But this episode is also about how do you manage when things are hard and what are the tools that I'm using right now and how do we navigate kind of the ups and the downs and the shutdowns, meltdowns, creating connection, rituals, resilience. I always think that there's more to the episodes than the stories, and I just want you to be able to choose what you want to do. I first want to focus on what's going on with my son, Josh, who is going to be joining the Navy. And for some reason, I keep saying Army. So if I accidentally say Army, he's joining the Navy. And then Gracie's having some things. And so we've made the decision that the compassionate, humane thing is to take her to the vet next week. And so I'll be talking a little bit about that. And I am going to talk about what I'm doing to manage, which I think will be really helpful. So many of you know I have twin boys who are 22. They'll be 23 in May. And 2 weeks ago on Wednesday, Josh said he was thinking about joining the Navy. Apparently, he talked to my husband about this a few years ago. And he has this amazing job that he got. He got a $10,000 bonus for Christmas, and he makes really good money. And he wants to join the Navy. So this was Wednesday. Bless his heart, he lives probably an hour and a half, 2 hours away, and he wanted to come down either Friday or Monday with his girlfriend and have us go to the recruiter with him to get information, which is so incredibly thoughtful. You know, he could have just gone to the recruiter, joined, and let us know. So on Friday, he and his girlfriend and the dog and the cat came, and we went to the recruiter, got information. The plan at that point was it was going to be another week before he met with a recruiter that lived closer to where he lived. And, you know, I was processing all of this. My belief is that our kids are not our own. And my job is to support my kids and who they love, what they love, and to just be there for them. What I recognized at the same time, though, is that I have this belief that if my kids are close, I can keep them safe. This is often what happens when we've got anxiety, that we create these beliefs that we think that we have this false sense of safety. And if you've ever experienced the unexpected loss of somebody, it can shatter that sense of security because, oh my gosh, this just happened unexpectedly to this person or that person. It makes us realize how vulnerable we are. For me, I can't stay that raw and open because it's just the way I'm wired. It's too much. And so I need to have kind of a wall of protection around me. Some people can really live with the grace and beauty and knowing that life is very precious and precarious and really embracing and relishing each moment. A friend of mine, Jean, who works with cancer survivors, says sometimes cancer is really a wake-up call to live your life. So everybody gets to choose how they do it. I'm just sharing what my experience is. But how I've kept my anxiety at bay is my kids have always been within a few hours away, and it gives me a sense of safety and control that I can get to them. And the thought of Josh being somewhere that's an undisclosed location or being in another country really made me feel very insecure and nervous. It challenged that belief around if they're close, I have safety. And it created a lot of uncertainty and fear and anxiety, which is often what we do around anxious thoughts. And what I've really been rumbling with is I have no less control over the safety of my kids if they're in my home, if they live next door, if they live an hour away, or if they're in another country. And the reality is that anybody can have an accident or something can happen at any time. This is not to create fear for you, But to really, for me, challenge this belief that I don't have this sense of control and safety, and for me to really keep my focus on what does it feel like to not have that sense of control? And can I figure out how to manage that and really focus on the fact that I want to be here and support my son 100% because that's just what I believe. Our kids are not our own. We have them to celebrate them and to support them in doing what they love. So, I often tell you about in front of me, I have two hands out with my palms up. And on one hand is wanting to support and love Josh and what he's doing and be there for him. And then having to grapple with my own anxiety and fear and what that means to not have this false sense of control and spending time in each of those. And so I've been very supportive with him. I've been tearful. And sometimes he'll ask me, "How are you doing?" And I get tearful and tell him, "I support you and I'm having some feelings." And I'm really working to take those big feelings someplace other than with Josh to process them because they're not his, it's not about him. So back to our story. So the plan was it would be another week before he went to meet with a recruiter. So Friday we met with the recruiter here in San Diego. And on Tuesday, he tells us that he found a different recruiter that was even closer than the one that was suggested to him. He went in and on this week, 2 days, on Thursday and Friday, he's going to be taking the tests that kind of rates him to get in. And then on Friday, he's getting his medical. They'll tell him the jobs that he can do. And he decided what he wanted to do, and he'll be sworn in. That was really fast. And I really wasn't prepared for that. And it was challenging. And I was excited for him. So Thursday, he goes to take the test. He spends the night there. And then Friday, he does the medical. So let's back up to before this. So the Friday that we all went to the recruiter, Josh and his girlfriend had invited my son and his girlfriend to move into the house where they all live. And it's not as close to where my other son and his girlfriend live. They had decided to do this, but now Josh is joining the Navy. And so this was an upheaval. So I think on Friday or Saturday, my other son, Daniel, calls me. And this is kind of the dynamic that he gets very upset. He feels frazzled. He's very emotionally reactive in the moment. What he needed from me, I found out after, was to just listen to him. But as the mom, I kind of wanted him to see some other perspectives because when he's so reactive, it doesn't go so great. So we had, it felt like an awful lot of drama that kind of lasted through the weekend. I did talk to him. Then I think on Saturday or Sunday, Daniel and Josh, the girlfriend that was here, the other girlfriend, all did a call together on the phone. And I had asked Daniel, "Are you feeling any sadness or loss about your brother leaving?" But he was so focused on the anger and the inconvenience and things changing and kind of how he was personally affected. And we talked about what were some other things that he could focus on, as maybe seeing how some other people see it and other perspectives. So we had a lot of drama. It was very stressful. But I have to tell you that when the kids talked, my husband and I were in the room. We didn't say anything, but it was on speakerphone. And they shared their concerns, but Daniel got tearful and he said to Josh, like, "I'm feeling really sad that you're going, and will you have time to spend with me before you leave? And can we play some golf?" And Josh got tearful and told his brother how much he meant to him and that he was going to quit his job so that they could not specifically so they could spend time together, but his plan was to quit his job so that they could spend some time together before he deploys. It was just incredibly beautiful, and to see from this conversation that I had with Daniel the day before, where he was angry and very focused on himself, to this dialing down and both boys really getting in touch with their feelings. I think I've told you before that my kids did not get along in high school. My husband and I did not think that they would be friends when they graduated. And 2 years ago, when Josh broke up with his girlfriend, he ended up temporarily moving in with Daniel. And then where they were living, they moved to another place, and Josh had his own room there. And now Daniel and his girlfriend are moving into where Josh lives. So as parents, to see them really doing this healing work, and I think I talked about it the holidays, it seems like when both kids are home, these old dynamics of fighting come up, but to see this beautiful connection between them, it's just beautiful. So now we're at the following week on Thursday and Friday. And so we also planned a family vacation in March for all of the kids. We worked it around the kids that are in school when they're going to be off. We booked a house to rent. We're bringing 2 of the dogs. And now Josh may be deploying. So this has been part of the conversation, but basically within a week, he was supposed to be sworn in and then we'd get a deployment date. There were some hiccups around some information that they need, also because I have twins. Daniel's records came up for medical instead of Josh's. It's not a deal breaker, but things are on pause right now until they get all the records that they need. And to be honest with you, I kind of felt like the brake was put on and I felt just a little bit of ease and relaxation. Probably in the next couple weeks, Josh will get the records in that they need, and then he knows what he wants to do, and he will get probably a deferred deployment date. So we've been dealing with a lot of uncertainty. And with this couple of days when he went to take the test the first day and then at his medical exam and was supposed to be sworn in, we didn't have a lot of contact with him. But I was tearful as all get out, thinking about him leaving. And the weekend he was here, I was really thinking about what is it that I want and need. And so I told him what I'd like to do. So this is about rituals. What are you needing? How can you ritualize something so that you get your needs met? And I told him, before you deploy, I would like to go down to the exchange and pick out a coffee mug or a sweatshirt or something that says Navy. And I would like for you to write something to me about our relationship. So those are ways that we take care of ourselves. And he said he was more than happy to do that. So I had these couple of days where I was just incredibly tearful and sad, and especially when things were moving so quickly. And that same night, I think my husband was doing the dishes and he stopped and he came in. He says, I think I'm really feeling sadness about Josh leaving. My husband's retired military. So the good news is that he's very familiar with the process. By the time Steve and I got together, I think he had 10 years left in the Navy, but he didn't have to do any deployments. He had sea duty billets, but they were here in San Diego. So I don't have that experience of having him deploy. I don't think I would have handled it very well, to be very honest with you. But Steve said he was feeling sad about it. I hadn't been able to paddle or swim for close to a month because of the rains, because of some things with paddling, because I had something removed on my body that got infected twice and I was kind of dry docked from the water. So I'd just gotten back to aqua fitness. I'd paddled. I kind of felt like I'm back and in the swing of things. And on Saturday, there was a paddle that I love that we do about once a year. There was also water fitness. My plan was to go to do this paddle. And Friday night, I just could see myself declining in the ambivalence about not wanting to go and kind of feeling myself shutting down. And even though I communicated this to a couple people, I did not communicate very clearly that I'm circling the drain and I'm going to be falling in and I need some help. This is really a challenge for me that I just don't communicate this so clearly. Saturday, I stayed in bed all day. I ate cookies and I was basically on my phone and watched TV. I did not brush my teeth all day long. When I went to bed, I did not brush my teeth. I think that my nervous system got so over aroused with all the sadness that I was feeling. I just kind of had to shut down. Sunday was a little bit better. Sunday and Monday, I pretty much was cocooning. And it's interesting that historically, I would say I was doing okay, but I thought about it. And internally, I really wasn't. I was just kind of trying to hold things together. And I was still feeling very sad but cocooning because I knew that I didn't think I'd do very well if I was around people outside of my immediate support system. The people inside my circle were present and loving, but just really was not doing as well as I would have thought I would. Tuesday, picked up. I went to water fitness and I was feeling more like myself. But in this period where I was not doing as well, there's a group that I belong to that I haven't talked about, and I'm not going to give you any more information than a group. We do a lot of things together. And when I didn't go to one of the activities that they do, they had made a decision to go out to eat on a certain day, but it wasn't communicated to me. And then we have a group chat and it really wasn't clear what was going on. Some of my wounds, more of my wounds, that feeling of I don't fit in, I don't belong, I'm being left out, I'm being excluded. I knew all along that this was going on, and I often tell myself, just ride it through, and when I'm feeling more resilient, I'll feel better. The feelings did not go away. And then the morning that they were going to be going out to eat and really didn't communicate. In the group chat, it talked about what time, but nobody said, this is where we're going, this is what's going on. So in this fragile. My nervous system was just kind of hyper aware. I just was really feeling hurt. And I thought, okay, I need to take care of this. So I texted one of the people and said, hey, when you have a minute, can you give me a call? And then I just asked for information because part of the story is we had an activity that we did on one day of the week, and then we would all go out to eat. And then in the midst of all this change, that was changed to another day of the week. And then I had asked twice in the group chat, are we still going out to eat on Thursdays? What's going on? Nobody responded. When somebody asked in the chat about the time for the day that they were going out to eat, I put a question mark, but nobody responded, which further fueled, they don't like me. They're not including me. I knew it wasn't true, but that place where, and I'm sure you can relate to this, where my thinking and my reality just gets very, very wobbly. And normally I'm like, everything's fine. I know everything's fine. Did not feel fine. So I did talk to this one person and I got all the information about why this stuff had happened. And it really was just about very poor communication. That's really what it boiled down to. And I said, have I said or done anything that people are just not wanting me to be around? And I really couldn't think of anything. I got reassurance and I just have felt more solid about that. But I share this with you because I think this comes up for many of us that when our nervous systems get more activated, when we're going through grief, pain, loss, could be hormonal shifts. I know when I was younger, every month with my hormones shifting, I would go into this, I don't have friends, nobody likes me. And I just got to know like, oh, this is what happens at this time of the month. Being aware of these shifts just can help to normalize it. And I want to point out too that a few days prior, I was like, I'm paddling, I'm doing water fitness, I'm back in my groove. And then Saturday, I didn't do two of my favorite things, either paddling or water fitness. And I ate cookies and stayed in bed all day. The ups and the downs. And I think historically, I would have attached danger to that, thought something was terrible and bad. And I just know sometimes this happens for me and I just have to ride it through. And this week with work, it's been a little bit more challenging that I am fine seeing clients and can kind of do the bare minimum, but there's just not a lot more to do. I finish seeing clients and I wrap up what I need to do, but there are other tasks that I'm just not able to attend to. I'm just kind of doing the bare minimum these days, and that has to be okay. And I think last week, one of my clients asked if everything was okay, and I probably just cried. And I said, I'm okay. I'm not okay, but I'm okay. I can be present for you. But part of what I do with the people that I see in my work is validating what they're seeing. And had I said, I'm fine, would have been incredibly invalidating because people can pick up on things, especially HSPs. And so I don't have to make it about me. I don't have to go into my stuff, but I want to validate what my clients are seeing. So that kind of brings us to today, which is Wednesday. I've got Gracie who's blind and has seizures. She has a lot of medical problems. The good news is that we've been able to control her seizures since September. We got a new neurologist. The old one retired. We've been able to manage the seizures, but it's created significant other problems. And while we don't want her to have seizures, the things that are going on, it's just her quality of life is not great. And it's becoming very challenging for us. As some of you know, at one point, we were giving her medication 5 times a day. Now we only give her 3 times a day. It's a lot. It's just a lot. So Steve and I have been talking about quality of life, and then I suspect that she has a urinary tract infection. So I made an appointment to take her to the vet this morning. And part of the question that we were going to have is talking about how do we assess quality of life and where are we at? And Steve and I had decided that at any point, if we decide that it's time, it's okay, that we have done so much for this sweet little dog that it's really okay. So we weren't having a question of, are we bad or wrong for doing this? It's just, when are we going to be ready? Then, of course, in the middle of the night, Maisie, who's our Barkadoodle, she's a terrier. She's about 1 year and 4 months, got me up once to go outside and eat grass, and got Steve up 4 times last night to go out 3 or 4 times. And this morning, she was just sick. I'll spare you the details, but she was sick, and she's a very food-motivated dog. She would not take food. She would not take treats, which is very unusual for her. So I did get pet insurance for her after what we spent on Gracie after the fact, and I couldn't insure her. I thought, I'm going to insure this dog. So we got free telehealth with a vet tech. So I called this morning to get some information. Fortunately, because we were taking Gracie in to see the vet, and I'd just taken in Maisie last week for a health exam, I ended up bringing in something that they can test to see what's going on. We'll just leave it that way. Maisie does not like going to the vet, and she does not like the vet. And it's not the vet, but she's very fearful. And so I need to be bringing her in on a regular basis so she gets comfortable there. But I haven't done that. And if she's not taking treats, and it really just wouldn't have worked. So anyways, it worked out really well because the vet had seen her. The vet was able to prescribe some stuff to help her. Her appetite seems to be back. She's on a bland diet. But the harder thing is we talked about Gracie, and I don't think that the vet realized that Steve and I have really already made the decision. We're just in that place of, when do we want to do it? How much is this creating a toll for us? And looking at her quality of life, and does she really have the experience of being a dog who's living a dog's life, or is she this heavily sedated little thing? That's all I'm going to say. So needless to say, I was tearful. And because I had such a hard time last week with this stuff with Josh, and then kind of had this meltdown and starting to feel better, I've been very kind of compartmentalized, where intellectually I can talk about what's going on with Gracie, but I'm a little bit reluctant to open up that box because I want to be able to function a little bit more until I have another breakdown, meltdown, which may or may not happen. So that's another tool that we can, not always, but there are times when we can kind of keep our feelings a little boxed up, wrapped up, because that's what we need. Because I know that my nervous system needs a little bit of a break right now. I can only deal with so much, and this this is a lot of big loss and change and things that are going on. We talked to the vet. We made a decision. We made an appointment of when we're going to bring her back. I talked to the kids to let them know what's going on, and we've been talking about it. And it's interesting that it was very sweet. Daniel called after I sent out the group text, and I was in the middle of having a cry. So we talked, and then I went and saw a client, and the client, she said, "How are you?" And I said, "I have a lot of things going on, but I'm okay." And she says, "You don't look so great." I said, "I'm having a really hard time." Again, this is being transparent. For me to deny it, I don't know what she saw on my face, but she could see something. Again, I want to validate my clients because they're seeing things, and I am able to kind of pack it up and put it aside so that I can be present for my clients. But I want to validate what they're seeing because it's real and it's happening. The other thing, that the appointment that we made for Gracie is at the end of my work week. So it gives me a couple of days where I can just decompress and do what I need to do. So I want to talk about some of the things that may be going on for you where this would be coming up, and what are the things that I'm doing to managing it through this? So it could be that you have kids launching for college. This is the time of year where if you have seniors in high school, or they'll be hearing what colleges did they get into. Maybe you're moving. You don't know if escrow is going to end. You don't know if you're going to be able to plan the movers from moving from one place to the other and switching everything over. You may be starting a business. You may be beginning or ending a relationship. You may be in a relationship with a partner that you're finding information out about them, or there are medical things going on and you're having to make adjustments to that. You may be having health issues, or someone you love may be having health issues. You may be having legal issues, losing a job, applying to a school and not getting it, applying to a job and not getting it. Maybe it's being pregnant. Maybe it's having loss. I mean, there's so many ways that this uncertainty can show up for us. And for those of you that are planners and like things to be organized and predictable, and that's what makes things manageable, being in this space of uncertainty and not knowing can be very challenging, and it can be undoing. So how do you stay grounded to what you know is important in the midst of uncertainty? So what I've had to do with both of these situations is to continue to go back to my values around Josh, that I want to be here. I want to support him in what he does. I want to be present for him. Those are my values. And then taking my feelings and processing them outside of the relationship. And with Gracie, I want her to have a quality of life. This dog has received amazing care. And how do I come up with ways to nurture and honor myself? And it's kind of nice. My son said today that he could see her frolicking with the dog that we had before this. And I hadn't really thought about that over the years, Gracie is blind and she moves very slowly. She's very lethargic, sweet as can be. I don't think she's ever growled or snapped or doesn't have a mean bone in her body. But the thought of imagining her frolicking and playing and being the way that she was when I got her 10 years ago brings me joy. And it really does help me see the contrast of the quality of life that she has now. So holding that vision of what quality of life is and figuring out how do I create rituals and safety and comfort for myself. Some of the tools that you can use are being really gentle with yourself. I mean, really, it's funny on Valentine's Day, both of my boys, bless their hearts, sent me pictures. Josh got steaks for his girlfriend and he was shopping and sent us pictures of everything that he got. Daniel got flowers and champagne and chocolate for his girlfriend. And I sent them a picture. I had a frozen Indian meal and I had like a frozen yogurt bar. This is what I had. It's okay setting the bar really low that's the best I can do for myself right now. Asking for support. Friends are reaching out and saying, what can I do? How can I support you? Be there, hug me, love me, hold space for me when I cry. That's an okay thing. Cocooning. I'm needing to do a lot of cocooning, and it also means wearing clothes that are feeling extra cozy, finding shows to watch. If I need to be plugged in a little bit more because my nervous system needs a break, I'm okay with that. Simplifying. Simplify, 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 and knowing that things are just not going to get done the way that I'd like them to. And sometimes I get a burst of energy and I'm able to take care of things. Lowering expectations, I think, is really important. Also, giving yourself permission not to participate, that some of these group things, I just don't know that it's the best place for me right now. And I need to be in a very secure cocoon space. The other thing that came up for me around the group thing this last week when I was feeling so dysregulated is I hate groups. This is why I hate groups. I only want to do things with people one-on-one. I don't have control when I'm in a group. That control thing again, right? I don't have control when I'm in a group. People don't communicate the way that I want. Just being aware of those things that come up. And then, like I said, it's okay if you need to compartmentalize. I know that there are times when I kind of need to tuck things away. I've been really reluctant about recording because I don't want to be sobbing in the middle of recording. And so right now my feelings about Gracie are tucked away. I've compartmentalized because I want to show up and record something. So y'all have something to listen to. And there will be time for me to unpack and to have those feelings. And then finding ways to create rituals. And like with Gracie, I've been trying to think of, do I want to take a picture with her? Do I want to get a rock that has her name engraved on it with a paw print? What's going to be special and meaningful for me so that I have something special for her that is going to honor that connection. And it was kind of nice today talking with Daniel. We were talking about stories about Gracie and things that she's done and remembering earlier on, man, she could jump so high. My son had a bed that was really high and she could jump up on it. And that's also, I think, around loss, we often think that it's not okay to talk about it. For many people, I think that's really how we honor the person, the animal, the situation, is by processing and talking about it. So I think that is pretty much all that I have. I think I'm pretty talked out. My hope is that this is helpful if you are struggling or going through something. It's okay to be really gentle with yourself. If you need extra support, you can reach out to me. I don't say this as much anymore, and I assume everybody knows, but I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I'm licensed to do therapy, but I've moved into a coaching model because that works better for me. It allows me to show up more authentically and do the work that I do best with neurodivergent folks, people with ADHD and HSP, people whose brains work differently. I work with people all over the world, not just limited to California. That's one of the advantages of coaching, and it just allows me to work in a way that really works for me. So if you're interested in working with me, if any of this resonates, you can reach out to me at unapologeticallysensitive.com. I hope you're doing well. I hope you found this helpful. And if it brought up tears, can you celebrate the tears? And if it brought up sadness, the sadness needs to be honored. I think all of our feelings are there for a reason, and we can just kind of learn how to lean into them. I think that's all I have. Remember, sensitivity is nothing to apologize for. It's your superpower. Have a blessed day.